Hello there, this is Richard McCarthy, Executive Director for Slow Food USA. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a wonderful number on this call. We know that it's a Friday. This is perhaps not the best time for everyone. I see Krista there. I'm calling in from Brooklyn and at the headquarters, and Krista's in Denver, very busily preparing the city for us all to arrive 6 weeks from now. I can't believe it. Krista, how are you?
Hi, this is Crystal. I'm good. How are you?
Um, Great. Krista, can you hear me?
I can now. I was muted. Sorry
Ah,
about that.
great. Um,
I'm doing well. Thank you.
we're really excited about the program that is coming together for Denver, and we know this is a busy year and a busy time of a busy year. If it's not Farm Bill, it's planting, and if it's not planting, it's preparing for Terra Madre, and if it's not preparing for Terra Madre, it's preparing for Denver. And we are thinking that it might be good, since we're about 6 weeks out, to share some of the logistics and some of the details that have landed with the kind of precision and accuracy that you're looking for as you're trying to figure out how to navigate the important meetings in Colorado. On the logistics of the call, we are recording this so that we'll put this up online this afternoon. If you have any questions, please use the chat function. If you're on your computer in the GoToMeeting control panel, there's a chat function, and we'll be monitoring that. And what we'll do is try and walk you through what may be difficult to figure out from afar. We are living this every day, so hopefully we'll be able to respond to questions since we are living this every day and very excited about what is coming together. I think it's going to be an amazing weekend in Denver. What I'll do now is pull up onto the screen some visuals that'll help navigate us through these next 55 minutes. And I think Krista and I will go dark so that you can just focus on the screen. And we'll get started. Is that good, Krista?
That sounds great.
And if you can, when you call in, try and mute yourself in case you're in a airport, truck stop, someplace noisy. It'll help us get through this painlessly. So hold on, let me pull up the right screen. Here we go, screen 2. And turn off my.
There we are. Hi, everyone. Richard, can you hear me? Okay, I think we lost you. I'm Krista.
I'm there.
Oh, you're there.
I was trying to be good by being on mute.
Okay, got it. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Krista Roberts. As Richard said, I'm the event director for Slow Food Nations, and I am looking forward, as all of us are at Slow Food, to welcoming the world back to Slow Food Nations in Denver again this summer, July 13th through 15th. And as Richard mentioned today, what I would love to do is just take you through a preview of what you can expect of the festival, share a few highlights, and then we'll take questions and hopefully be able to answer anything that might be on your mind. So I'm going to take myself off of video so you can really focus on this, and I'll be back in a minute, but you'll hear my voice. So the weekend kicks off with our Slow Food Leader Summit, which is Friday, July 13th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Johnson and Wales campus here in Denver. And this day is for food leaders from around the world, partner organizations, and anyone committed to slow food who really wants to jump in and explore this day. The day will be full of breakout sessions, a fabulous keynote talk, working groups, and we'll end with a very social note. And to give you a better sense of the day, in the morning, we'll kick off with sessions that will be led by food leaders, partners from our network and beyond. Some examples are food activism beyond the fork, which will really dive into what are some of the specific policy areas that slow food is focusing on, how can we take action, as well as we'll explore the world of slow travel with one of our partners, Adventure Canada. Then we'll all join for lunch for a picnic lunch on the campus, and we'll focus on the Meatless Monday partnership as part of that lunch, and it will be a vegetarian break. Then for right after lunch, we'll focus on the plenary session, which will look at what is the future of the food movement. And it'll be hosted by Deb Eschmeyer, who some of you may know is one of the co-founders of Food Corps, and who also spent some time in the Obama administration with the Let's Move campaign. And she now is at Danone, and will work through a discussion and some hard-hitting questions about the food movement, where it's going and what is its future, with voices like John Eichert, Ben Burkett, Raj Patel, Ann Cooper, Rick Bayless, and others. And then we will go from there, after being inspired as to what the future may look like, to really roll up our sleeves and bring it down to a local level for slow food, and what can we do and how can we work together to bring change. And we'll be joined by Paolo De Croce, who is the Secretary General of Slow Food International, who will really kind of help us understand the vision for slow food and how it all fits in. Then we'll wrap up the day, like I mentioned, on a social note with an aperitivo. Our friends from New York, our slow food community there, have joined forces to help support the aperitivo. Wolfer Estate Vineyard will be there, and they will be featuring their cider and their wine. One of our other partners, Nyman Ranch, will also feature some of their charcuterie, and we'll also end with a very slow food tradition, which is the food swap. We'll ask everyone who's attending the Leader Summit if they'd like to bring with them a non-perishable food item that represents their part of the world, so we can all share and meet over tastes that we can exchange and take a little something back with us. And that is what Friday is about. We'll all go from Johnson and Wales back downtown to Larimer Square, which is where the heart of the festival takes place for the rest of the weekend. We'll kick off that night with an opening party called Colorado Fair, and that's where we will celebrate the taste of Colorado and really welcome everyone to Slow Food Nations.
If I can add in here, Krista, one of the exciting elements to the Leader Summit. You may recall, if you were with us last year, that the work at hand with the Leader Summit was the sharing, the small sessions, and of course, most importantly, passing our national statute, which has really, in many ways, was a precursor to the international statute that was passed in Chengdu. This is for Slow Food International, where we are seeking ways to recalibrate how we work as a prime mover of the food movement. And what I mean by this is some of the key decisions that we've reached both nationally and internationally is to really zero down on when and where do we, as a movement, whether we're in Nairobi or whether we're in New Mexico, when do we come together? And when we come together, whether it's physically for gatherings and our national commitment to gatherings, in particular to Slow Food Nations, and our commitment to campaigns. When do we, a very complex, sometimes disjointed, sort of biodiversity of a movement. When does this pluralist movement come together in one voice? And this is why we're so excited that Paolo De Croce is joining us. He is the general secretary. He works with Slow Food all over the world. And what we will be launching this fall, and I think in many ways the soft launch will be here at Slow Food Nations, is the global campaign of Food for Change. And this is really zeroing attention on how with climate change discourse, which is very heavy and gloomy and beyond reach, is that food is a prime cause of climate change. It's a prime victim of climate change. When you think of how many rural communities are negatively impacted, whether it's water issues or natural disasters, but that most importantly, within our reach, it is a solution to climate change. And for this, we will be launching a campaign internationally. And what this means are these moments during the calendar year where we come together. And what we will be doing in the small group discussion is to specifically zero in on really from September all the way through July of next year. Where do the issues that matter to me most? Whether I want to be a Meatless Monday ambassador, whether I am a slow fish advocate, a school garden advocate, that where do these voices, these issues, where and how are they amplified in our campaigns? And this is where we want to begin to share what will be the global campaign coming into the fall, but also where do the different pieces of our very complex network come together. And so this is why it is so important that you meet us and join us in Denver to help shape the future of our organization and our role in the larger movement, and why we're so excited to have Deb there, Deb Eschmeyer leading the conversation, is that it will be provocative. We all have different points of entry, whether it's transforming large companies or whether it's growing grassroots economic development. There are different places in which we play a role in inspiring individuals and communities to change the world through food. And so this is the internal Slow Food, talking to Slow Food, sort of safe space in which to operate on the Friday. And we're going to get to do it in such a beautiful setting as the Johnson and Wales campus.
Thanks, Richard. And we can pause for a moment to see if there are any questions about the Leader Summit specifically. Then what I'd like to do is take us on to the kind of heart of the festival, the more public-facing piece, and give some highlights about that.
I don't see any questions yet.
Great.
So why don't we keep moving? And I'm sure when it all comes together, it will perhaps some of those questions will come back. So then,
and I will remind everyone, Richard, about the member discount for the Leader Summit before we move on. Everyone who is a member should have received that discount code. So if you haven't purchased your tickets yet, definitely be sure to do that soon. And the discount code is SNAIL18, SNAIL18. So take a note of that if you don't have it, just as a reminder, so it's fresh in your notes. Okay, so Slow Food Nations launch is really to the general public on Saturday and Sunday of that weekend. It all takes place in the heart of downtown Denver, in a part of Denver called Larimer Square, which is a very historic part of the city, as well as a destination in itself. And we are fortunate to have such support from Denver, and we're able to block off a pretty large footprint to traffic, and the entire area is permitted for the weekend. So people are able to walk around and enjoy food and beverages while they're exploring all different parts of the festival. And one of the great parts of Slow Food Nations is much of it is free and open. I'd like to start to share a little bit about those pieces, and then I'll also share about some of the signature events and some of the other activities and events that happen throughout the weekend. So if we look at the next slide, it highlights what some of the free and open activities are. Starting with the Taste Marketplace, which if you attended last year, you'll remember is a wonderful open air, free entry marketplace that is right there in downtown. It's really a chance for people to learn the story behind our food. We have a collection of producers in here, many of whom are Good Food Award winners, Arc of Taste producers, and what they all have in common is that they share slow food values. We'll see examples like a cheese shop that's full of different small cheese producers. Wu Wan Wo soy sauce will be present. They're from Taiwan. California olive oils will be there, and there'll be a lot of different charcuteries and salumis. One that will be featured is Il Porcellino, which is from Colorado. And then after exploring the Taste Marketplace, there's also a great center for families and really looking at who's the next generation and allowing kids to dig in a very hands-on way to explore tastings and crafts and a lot of different sensory exploration that all falls under the umbrella of slow food and food. And as Richard mentioned, one of the key themes for slow food and also Slow Food Nations is food for change. And it's really looking at how do our food choices impact the world around us, and vice versa, how does the world around us impact our food? We'll have a tent focused around food for change that will feature free talks throughout the weekend. And it'll kick off on Saturday with a talk from Raj Patel that's really looking at kind of how does our underlying structure of capitalism impact our food? And then we'll have a counterpoint to that on later that day or the next day that will really look at the whole idea of B Corps and how can business do good for food. Also throughout the weekend, we'll explore things that really allow people to jump into these conversations through short talks, 30 minutes with a few minutes for discussion afterwards that really look at why does this matter and what can I do? For instance, we'll have a Farm Bill 101 talk that will really try to distill down this very complex piece of legislation into some key points that we all might want to consider and understand. Same with food waste, a Food Waste 101 that really looks at what's this all about, why is it happening, and what can I do as an individual to create change? And then we will also have a pop-up bookstore on the street right in the middle of the festival that's hosted by Denver's beloved independent bookseller, The Tattered Cover. And there you'll be able to browse and buy books that are related, and also there'll be signings throughout the weekend of authors who will be here for Slow Food Nations, like Rick Bayless and Alon Shaya and Massimo Bottura, to name a few. And things are continuing to pop up about what might be free and open activities that will take place. Heritage Radio should be on site conducting interviews throughout the weekend. We'll have some wonderful installations that share the slow food story, and really a lot to see and do while you're wandering around and taking it all in.
And if I can add quickly, Krista, one of the things that is exciting in particular about the Food for Change tent is that this is that space where we are also speaking to the wider world who may be new to subjects. So if something like regenerative agriculture is what you live on a daily basis, but struggle with how to communicate that to the wider world, there will be Regenerative Agriculture 101. And so an opportunity to begin to take our ideas to audiences who are just showing up at the table.
That's right. And I think it's just a great way to engage the broader public in some of these conversations and hopefully inspire people to take something away and take action. So I also want to highlight some of the signature events that'll happen throughout the weekend. I mentioned earlier that it kicks off on Friday evening with our Colorado Fair party. And that's where we'll feature chefs and farmers and food producers from around the state, at the same time giving people a sense of what they'll expect throughout the weekend. On Saturday evening, we'll take over Larimer that evening as well for the Global Street Food Social. And that's really a chance to now expand the taste to the global communities who are represented in Denver that weekend, and also pair them with some locals to create some unlikely collaborations and delicious beverage pairings. And it'll really be a celebration of street food right in the heart of downtown. And then I will skip over to the last on here, which is on Sunday evening. And this is our Zero Waste Family Meal. And for those of you who were there last year, you may remember this, and it's back again. It was such a highlight, not only for the people who attended, but also the chefs who participated. And this is a family style meal that is created by food that is recovered throughout the festival, so it doesn't go to waste. And we've got a group of chefs led by Stephen Satterfield from Atlanta, who are putting together these great plans for how they're going to inventory all the different food scraps and extras from throughout the weekend, and then create a plan to prepare a delicious meal for everyone to share as we close out the festival. I'll also mention, jump back to Eat Street. This will be the hub for food and beverage that will be active on Saturday and Sunday throughout the day, where anyone can purchase food and beverages. There'll be lots of tables with shade sitting around so people can gather around the table, have conversation, relax, take it all in. And during the evening, that space into a bar in the evening with music. So if perhaps you're not attending one of the parties, or after the party is over, you can gather still at Eat Street under the lights on Larimer, continue to enjoy conversation, carry it on from the day, and have a space to gather well into the evening.
You know, and one thing that you're hearing is that I hear an echo. Sorry if I'm distracted from that. We're starting groups who are organizing meetups at Eat Street. So I think it'll be a place where people will physically be meeting and holding informal gatherings aside from the Zeno asked a question, will there be like a Slack channel? How does slow food people hook up, delegates, members, leaders hook up with one another? And I think Anna's responding to that. Certainly we'll be using the Facebook group during the weekend. So Krista, should I move to the next slide?
Oh yeah, thank you. Sorry, I was looking at a question and got distracted. So I think those highlight some of the signature events and the ticketed parties, and also the central gathering space around food and beverage that exists at the festival. And then there's some other great things that are going to take place surrounding all of that that I also wanted to highlight.
There we go.
And here we are. We've got such a great collection of chefs and food producers and special guests that will be gathering. And we know one of people's favorite things to do is also gather for restaurant dinners, slightly more intimate than some of the parties. So there'll be a lot of different options to do this. And they'll range from happy hour gatherings that are not ticketed at all. You show up and you buy as you go. And then others will be, we'll have a lunch that's featured that weekend that will feature our delegation from Slow Food Mexico with a restaurant partner here. And then we'll also have some higher end dinners that will be happening. One example is the Savory Institute are going to host a ranch dinner with special
Órale,
guests.
el guiso, va para el guiso. Órale, un abrazo.
With special guest Will Harris from White Oak Pastures, as well as Woody Tash with Slow Money. And that will be held on their ranch, which is a bison ranch just outside of Denver. In addition, one of our other partners, Relay and Chateau, will be bringing in some of their chefs from around the country. We'll partner them with 2 James Beard award-winning chefs here in Denver, Alex Seidel and Jennifer Jasinski. And they'll really focus on creating a seasonal, plant-forward dinner that'll be hosted throughout the weekend. And you'll start to see these restaurant collaborations posted on the website in the next couple of weeks, so you can see what's there and possible. And then for all of our Chefs Alliance members who are out there and coming, take note of this, please. You'll all be receiving an invitation soon for our Chef Summit. That will be a gathering late night on Saturday that will really delve into looking at what is the voice of the chef and how can restaurants make a difference. We'll kick off the evening with a few special guests and then followed by drinks and gathering and really a time for everyone to connect while they're here. And then I can't forget to highlight some of the ticketed workshops that are going to be happening. Those are on the website. You can take a look and see what's there. We've got some really great focus this year, I think, on tastings around honey and salumi. And we're about to launch one around coffee. And it's really looking at how to taste for quality, how to taste for place, and then also bringing in the important discussion of sourcing and sustainability around all of these different areas, tying them back to the Food for Change theme. And then one of the new additions this year are our summits, and we will have 4 summits throughout the weekend, 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. And these each are about 2.5 hours. They're a really unique combination of different ways to engage around a theme. For example, one of the summits is the Waste Not, Want Not Summit. And I'll explain kind of how the whole event will take place. Guests will arrive and immediately can engage in some more hands-on and tactile activities around the topic, such as a chef will be present and preparing some appetizers or small bites that are made using food waste, like carrot top pesto or something along those lines. The Natural Resource Defense Council will be there, and they'll be sharing some information about the work they do and ways that people can take action. We'll also have examples of work from food rescue organizations and other groups who are involved in this space. Then everyone, about after 45 minutes or so, will gather into seats where there will be a short film clip that will get people focused and explore the topic in a more visual way. And then we'll move into a speaker session. And at this particular discussion, we'll be joined by Massimo Bottura, Raj Patel, and other voices to learn more about the causes and the impact of food waste. And we'll look at both the underlying societal issues that can aggravate waste and have created this challenge that we face. And then we'll also see inspiring examples of change that's really looking at how to highlight the dignity of food and possibilities for food rescue. And hopefully everyone will walk away with very tangible ways that they themselves can take action. And we'll finish off each summit with a social touch and with an aperitivo. And for this example, there'll be a beverage that's made using a recovered food product, possibly overripe fruit or something along those lines. And then everyone, the summits take place right next to the heart of the festival. So afterwards, everyone can wander back out and take part in the other things that are happening on the street.
Yeah, and one thing that, if I can add in, Krista, that we noticed last year was that we spread people out so widely to different locations, whether they were attending culinary workshops or the free talks were very well attended and hidden underground at the train station, which was great, but it was so far away. We're consolidating our footprint this year so that everyone will be much closer, a stone's throw from the Eat Street bar and food, for seating and sitting informally and talking and debating. But also, if I remember correctly, we had over 100 ticketed events last year, which meant it was almost overwhelming to figure out, what do I do? Do I attend this? Do I attend that? And there's always going to be competition for time and attention. But we've really tried to narrow it down into some bigger themes, the summits, so that there are 4 summits. It's a pretty big investment in time, but it means, unlike a panel discussion where you may only touch on a subject, with the summits we're going to dive in deep, and it can be learning through words, learning through tasting, and I think the themes that we've pulled out are really important, and ones in which I think the slow food perspective has a unique voice. And similarly with the culinary workshops, there aren't as many, but I think they're really interesting ones.
And you can find the listings of all of those on the website. I think Anna's going to post some of the links to where you can see all the details and where you can buy tickets, so you can plan your weekend. And hopefully what we've just taken you through have provided a sense of the weekend, how you might want to experience it, and the different ways you can. And with that, I think maybe it's important to close with some points around how individuals can get involved in addition to attending the different activities and events, and also some important notes about travel. I will note Denver gets pretty busy in the summer. So if you haven't booked already, definitely book your travel plans soon. Denver does have a light rail system from the airport that will take you right to downtown Union Station, which is a very short walk, or there's a free shuttle that will can take you from there to Larimer Square. It's a city-run shuttle, and it runs right down 16th Street. And we do have some hotel blocks, and there are a few places left. If you use the link that you see in this slide, or Anna will share, you can see where those room blocks are. These are all hotels that are located within short walking distance of the Larimer Square where the festival will be held. And then there's also information on that page, I think, as we get if there are other hotel discounts or partners, as people reach out to us, we will post them there. And then I think it's important to note that another way you can get involved that weekend is to volunteer. And there's a link on the website where you can sign up and check out all the different opportunities that are there. We couldn't do this, as with most things that are slow food, without some support from our wonderful network of volunteers. And it really takes an army to support a festival of this size. So we welcome and are grateful for all of the support. And then I think another important point here is how you can share your excitement about Slow Food Nations is to share that with your communities and your networks. There's a link here to the digital toolkit. I think Anna also shared it on the chat box. And it's really about creating the buzz and creating the awareness, and sharing, like I said, your excitement and engaging others.
Krista, that sounds like
Did you
that
have anything to
covers it.
add?
Well, just that I think one of the things that we are finding particularly exciting is that last year when we took this huge leap of faith to stage a public-facing festival, it brought with us so many new partners that we didn't have before. And that has yielded some of the collaborations and campaign collaborations that we did this past year. Um, and it has also attracted Slow Food's international communities to come to join us in the middle of the U.S. And that's one of the exciting things is that it is not just a U.S. gathering, and there's some really exciting elements that are being woven into the learning and sharing that take us far outside the U.S. And I think of the role of the Cuban delegation that came last year and that will be coming and joining us this year. You had mentioned earlier this really exciting conversation that is bubbling up within our network, this idea of slow travel and our partnership with Adventure Canada. Because of Adventure Canada, we're able to bring in a great number of Slow Food Canada members, and they'll be bringing with them some of the leaders of Turtle Island from Canada, especially those working in the Okanagan Valley and the Okanagan community, who are producing sockeye salmon, canned salmon, so it interfaces with slow fish. And so these wonderful web of people who are coming, whether from Canada, from Cuba, from Japan. We're really excited to have a world-renowned sake maker, sake master who has navigated all kinds of disaster with the Kobe earthquake, and Slow Food Nippon with their slow sake work will be playing a really important role in the Disaster Summit. And of course, the Disaster Summit will feature some of the most important and innovative and urgent voices from Puerto Rico, because we'll be joined with some leaders in Puerto Rico who are navigating in very real time what it means to remake an agricultural economy when infrastructure collapses due to extraordinary hurricanes, which bring us back also to climate change. And so there are different, lenses with which you can approach the gathering, whether it is regenerative agriculture, food justice, slow travel, or if you're a chef and trying to figure out how to connect the different pieces. I mean, one of the things that we know when spending time at Terra Madre is that our local node of leaders, our local chapters, play such a critical role as being a linchpin of a community of producers and chefs, and that when we bring people to gatherings of this scale, they're able to travel far beyond what they maybe initially think the work is, and so that the connection between what happens in the state of Georgia may be very close to what happens in the country of Georgia. And we're excited that that international development will take place here and that many of our chapters are bringing some of the key chefs and food leaders with them. I do see, and thank you, Anna. Many of you know Anna Muley, our communications director, is doing a marvelous job communicating in the chat space and answering a lot of the questions that are coming up. One of the reminders, of course, is that the hotel blocks that we've been able to secure, you've got almost 2 weeks. June 12th is when those windows close. So this is why we thought this was a good time to get together and to hopefully answer some of those questions which may be daunting from afar as to the scope and the arc of the weekend, and what elements of it are ticketed and what elements are free and open to the public. We hope that this gives you some of that insight. I don't know if Krista, there's anything to add to that. What I'm wondering is maybe it just is a bear with me. Technology and slow food often are a struggle. I thought maybe I'd bring it to the website. So I don't know if you have spent much time on, I could probably do this full screen as well. Um, Aha, there we go. Uh, so the website itself is where you can find information, as Krista was describing, to volunteer, where to key in for that, where the travel details are for the room blocks, and also to look at the full schedule and to go ahead and you know get your tickets early. We've been very encouraged by the early ticket sales, but we know it's in these next couple of weeks as people are really thinking about their travel as to what they want to sign up for. Um, I'll take a look at any questions. In terms of the exhibitors, Krista, can you tell us a little bit more about what some of the exhibitors will be doing? I know that last year we had well over 50 exhibitors, and we're looking at 70 to 75 this year. Um, is there any room for
Yeah,
any additional ones?
I think we have just a handful of spots. The deadline is we can take additional exhibitors for the marketplace through the middle of June, so June 12th, I think. And things are nearly full, which is fantastic. And I think, like I mentioned before, it's turning out to be a wonderful collection of producers, some of whom are Good Food Award winners, Arc of Taste producers, and all who share slow food values. If you look at the Taste Marketplace at the bottom, you can see who are confirmed as they come on. Logos are placed at the bottom of that page. You can get a chance to see who you'll have a chance to meet and really learn the story behind your food there. And I think one of the things that I wanted to add is I feel like every time I've had the chance to go and attend a slow food gathering, whether it be in Italy or in the US or in some other part of the world, and I think we all find this, is how inspiring it is. It's such a unique opportunity to gather. We're all doing this work. We all care about what slow food stands for, but we don't often get a chance to connect in person. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of this type of gathering. And, I think collectively we've got a lot of work to do. We also have a lot to celebrate. So I hope that many of you will have that chance to meet each other and walk away inspired and with even more energy and ideas to take back with you.
I see a question which maybe I can respond to regarding Carlo, because you may remember that Carlo Petrini was able to join us last year. Um, he, I think, rather purposefully, um, we've had a lot of discussion over the last few um, weeks and months as to who from the international organization, from the headquarters, should be here for this meeting. And Carlo Petrini will not be joining us this year. We felt it was particularly important that Paolo De Croce um, be here because he is the general secretary and will be speaking at the Leader Summit. And I think he'll be speaking also at the Food for Change tent. We're still figuring out the logistics of where he will be speaking, but especially at the Leader Summit, in particular to talk about the changes that are underway in our global community, the structure of the organization, the efforts that were formalized in Chengdu to simplify some of our communications so that the outside world can understand us better, to the commitments of when we join campaigns, um, and, uh, and simplifying, all the logos we use. I mean, these are all very sort of internal slow food issues, but that it was really important that between the International Congress and Slow Food Nations, and then this fall at Terra Madre, that we are really beginning to communicate in a new way in this much more complex ecosystem. And for that reason, Paolo will be traveling uh, to Denver. And if you've never had an opportunity to hear Paolo speak, unlike Carlo, Paolo's English is very developed, and he's very comfortable speaking in English, and will be presenting to us in the session. That's not to say that all sessions will be in English. We're rather excited about there being a number of Spanish language sessions, because we will have a number of our colleagues from Mexico, Cuba, and Puerto Rico speaking as well. So that was one question. Krista, am I missing any others that I saw come through the?
I don't think so. I think we've all been answered, either in this chat box or as part of our discussion.
Well, what I can recommend, I mean, we've got our tickets, our flights and rooms, and we only just did that recently, so we know that that's probably on your mind as well. We are aware that if you haven't visited the website, it changes. Right now it's changing on a daily basis as we confirm partners and speakers who are attending. We're excited about the collaborations that are taking place between visiting cooks and chefs with local ones, and it is what makes this gathering particularly unique, is those unlikely collaborations. We're excited to see some old friends, Drew Deckman, who will be coming up from Mexico, Alfonso and Benedicta coming up from Mexico, as well as some new faces and talents that we've not yet seen. I think checking out the website and also the Facebook page, I see things being loaded all the time. And this is going to be an extraordinary weekend. David Shields, he just confirmed recently that he'll be leading the conversation for the Buzz About Biodiversity Summit. Looking at some names here. Daniel Asher, who's a favorite local Denver, Colorado chef, but originally from Canada. I know he's going to be spending some time with some of the Canadian folks who are coming. John Eichert, we are just elated that John Eichert will be joining us and spearheading the Regenerative Agriculture Summit, the future of farming. It is a real treat that we've got John coming to the gathering. Kevin Boyer from Regenerative Agriculture Foundation, he'll be kicking that off. Mark Freeman from Microsoft. We've got some amazing people coming. One of my favorites is Miss Linda Green, who is the Yakamain lady from New Orleans. She'll be part of the Disaster Summit, telling her story about how she navigated disaster post-Katrina and helped to, rebuild her business based on a food that is an instrumental part of street food in New Orleans. Michael Hurwitz from Green Markets in New York City runs this extraordinary composting program with the farmers markets. Poppy Tooker. I mean, it just keeps on going. Rihanna Kolvachik. Many of you may know her from NSAC. She's going to be, with like real-time info about what's going on with the Farm Bill, if there's a Farm Bill.
And Richard, on that point, I think I would just want to point out to everyone to keep an eye on the website over the next couple of weeks. We're going to launch the schedule for the free talks. We'll also launch the schedule for the author signings that will happen in the pop-up bookstore, and some more content about the family pavilion, as well as the restaurant collaboration dinners, like I mentioned. So while there are a lot of the ticket events that are posted and available to purchase tickets, you'll see some of the scheduling for the free and open things start to become clearer over the next couple of weeks as well, to help you plan your adventure.
Well, I think at this, we were absolutely thrilled with the turnout on this call. we know that this is just scratching the surface, and we know it takes a lot of time to dive into the website and figure out the details and the timing and one's schedule. But this, we hope, gives you whets your appetite, gets you excited to see old friends and meet new faces, people who are driving and flying in from all over, um, and to descend upon Denver, a place with a big sky and a great place for big ideas. Um, and I can't wait to see you all in, gosh, just a few weeks. And I think with this, there's still a lot of time left on this Friday. We know that everyone's got things to do before they dive into the weekend, whether it's planning for market or gardening or signing petitions. We don't want to eat up too much more time, but we're thrilled that we had you on this call, and do know that we'll be posting this online. So if there's someone whom uh, you'd like to share this with, that link will be available. And we look forward to seeing you in Denver.
Thanks everyone for joining. I can't wait to see you in Denver as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Krista. That was a marvelous presentation.
Bye, Richard.
All
Talk to you
righty.
soon.
Sounds great.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.